Hey, welcome to Strickland's and Friends.
Today we're making a one-pan dinner, sometimes called a sheet pan dinner, but it's like a dinner that's all in one spot. So you don't have to like get all kinds of pots and pans out and make everything. That way it's all on one pan. So we're going to try this because we haven't made this before. Yeah. So we're going to see how it works. This is actually a recipe from Forks Over Knives. And so we give all credit to them. And it's a
so we love Forks Over Knives. Forks Over Knives is actually what got me started on this journey.
Oh, the movie?
Forks Over the original
Knives?
movie.
Yeah, the movie.
But they're actually they're also an organization with cookbooks and
a website.
Right,
forksoverknives.com, I think. We'll put the link in the show notes, and so you can see. So if you're seeing this, then it obviously worked out. So we're just going to give it a try and see it because we haven't done this before. So we're going to see how it goes. But it's a one-pan sheet dinner, and everything goes in the oven. And it's a real versatile recipe because you can mix and match flavors and vegetables and all kinds of stuff.
And easy is the big thing.
Easy, yeah, it's very easy.
It's kind of like the idea of a one-pot meal, but this is a one-pan meal.
Exactly. Okay, so what we're going to start with is 1 1/4 cups of any kind of quick cooking grain. So it needs to be quick cooking because you're putting it in the oven and it will only be in there for about 20 minutes in the first round, and then you put it back in for like 15 to 20 more minutes. So brown rice is not going to work because that would take much, much longer. So you want to do like a quick grain, like quinoa or freekeh, if you've ever heard of freekeh, maybe wheat bulgur, instant rice. Now that could work if you're using instant rice or instant brown rice. That would probably work. Millet, amaranth, some of the things.
Which version of oats?
Oats?
Or would they work?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that I would want to do oats because they would get mushy in it.
Okay.
Because oats have so much soluble fiber. They would probably... I don't think I would do oats.
Okay,
I don't think I would do oats. Just because... I don't know. We're going to see how this comes out, maybe. But I think they would get too creamy. I'm not sure.
If you try oats, let us know.
Yeah,
we're not going there.
We're not going there. What we're doing is I have a mixture of... So I had some freekeh. And this is what I mean when I say freekeh. 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 And it is actually an ancient grain. It's a form of wheat, so it does have gluten in it, and it is really, really good. It has a very nice, nutty flavor to it. And I only had about 3/4 of a cup of it left, and we need 1 1/4 cups. So I can hear more in there. There it goes. So I put about 3/4 of a cup of freekeh, and the rest of it, I had some wheat bulgur, which is what is traditionally used to make tabbouleh, but I had some bulgur wheat, and so I just added up to 1 1/4 cups of that. So it's almost half and half of freekeh and wheat bulgur. Okay, so what we're going to do is take a really big pan. You want to go with a 10 by 15 inch pan that has a rim around the edge. You cannot do this on a cookie sheet. So it has to have an edge because we're going to be pouring liquid in it. So it needs to be, about an inch deep, but it's 10 by 15, and that's about the right size.
Could you do this in a casserole dish?
I think that the vegetables are going to need to be spread out a little more than that. And so what they recommend on the Forks Over Knives website is using a 10 by 15 inch pan.
Okay.
So this is it's called a half sheet pan.
Yeah.
So,
but especially if you're making a smaller portion, you could sure use a casserole dish.
I suppose you could cut it in half. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so we're just going to spread that all out on here. Nice and evenly all over into the corners. It's a very old sheet pan, but it's, well loved. It's a well loved sheet pan. Okay, so we have that all the grains are just spread out on top. Okay? And then I'm going to set that aside for just a second to talk about the vegetables. You have 8 cups of vegetables, and they need to be cut into about 1 to 2 inch pieces. So, and you could use any mix of vegetables you want that can be roasted in the oven. So this is onions, carrots, potatoes, broccoli, celery, because I know he likes celery. Let's see, what else is in there? I think that's it. So So I have a mixture of maybe some starchy vegetables and some green vegetables. You could throw in big chunks of cabbage. That would be really good. Turnips.
Very flexible dish.
Brussels sprouts. I mean, just pick whatever you like. And there are some options. If you look at the Forks Over Knives link that we post in the show notes, then you'll see they have some suggestions. But I'm just kind of doing this. I looked at all their suggestions and I thought, oh, I want to try something different. Okay, so you have 8 cups worth of vegetables and then 1 can of any kind of beans, lentils, frozen edamame, whatever you want to do. But I'm doing 1 can of kidney beans, and it is this kind, organic dark red kidney beans. And then dump that in, and then 1 tablespoon of any kind of seasoning you want to do. So what I've decided to do is Cajun seasoning. And so 1 whole tablespoon added up of a mixture of spices or just 1 spice. But what I did was half a tablespoon of Cajun seasoning, and then parsley, oregano, thyme, and smoked paprika, making up the other half tablespoon. So this is 1 whole tablespoon of spices. I'm just going to toss that over. We also already have the oven preheated to 400 degrees. So we have 1 1/4 cups of grains. We have 8 cups of vegetables, 1 tablespoon of seasoning, and 1 can of beans. So I'm just mixing all that up. I want to get the spices kind of evenly coated onto the vegetables. That looks pretty good. I think I got it.
That onion needs to be separated out.
Nope.
You don't think
They're
so?
fine. No, it's going to roast. It's going to roast in there for a while. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay, so there, that looks pretty good. And it smells nice and Cajun-y, if that's a word. Okay, and we're going to take our sheet pan and layer the vegetables out on top of the grains.
That's kind of exciting. This isn't quite like anything we've done before.
Right, this will be interesting. I get the messages and stuff, emails from Forks Over Knives, so I do love to check out what new things they've come up with. So this is different. Okay, so
looks
we
like
have
a winner.
that. We'll see. We will see. All right, so I want to get that kind of evenly laid out over the grains. Oh, goodness. All right. And then here comes the tricky part. We are going to see if I can make sure all these gaps are filled in here. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So have it pretty evenly laid out on this pan. And then the tricky part is we're going to pour 3 1/2 cups of, you could use vegetable broth or water. And what I did was make broth from the Better Than Boullion organic. And it's vegan because it's vegan. It has that little heart and the V inside the little heart. And I'd made it less sodium than what it calls for in how you make it regularly, is like 1 teaspoon to 1 cup of boiling water. That's a lot of sodium, so I kind of cut that down to make it lower in sodium. And we're going to very carefully pour it over the top of this. Whoa. This is the reason you use a rimmed baking sheet, because it would not work.
I can see you just pouring this right out of a pot. Just thinking, not everybody has that big a measuring cup, right?
Well, right. So you could make vegetable broth, and on the stove. Yeah, and sure, just carefully pour it over the top. The problem with pouring it out of a pot, it doesn't have the little spout, and that little spout thing helps keep it from just running down the sides. Yeah. So, okay, and then we'll see if this is going to work. We're going to take aluminum foil. So you could, if you have another pan the exact same size, should work. If you have another pan the exact same size, you could just lay it on top and seal it in that way. I don't have another pan this exact same size, and so we're going to just pull out aluminum foil and cover it tightly. I was going to do 2 sheets because it doesn't quite get it.
Like that?
Yeah, we'll do it that way. Okay. Over there. Okay. Under there. here. That one's longer. Okay. And you want to seal it really tightly to keep the moisture in to cook those grains.
Should we hold it to seal there?
No, I think it'll be all right. All right. There, it should be okay. So we're going to put this in the oven for 20 minutes and then take it back out and take the aluminum foil back off. And then put it back in the oven without foil for about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay? All right, so we'll see you back here in just a few minutes. Got it? Put it on the bottom rack. Okay.
All right, so it's been 20 minutes. We've got a little wire mesh tray here.
Just to protect the countertop.
Just to put something hot on. As long as you've got someplace you're comfortable putting something hot, you're set. We're going to use these gloves to take it out of the oven. If you've got some waterproof ones, that might be even better. Safer, right?
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's out of the oven and we're taking the foil off very carefully so as not to burn ourselves. And then we'll put it, see how it looks. Oh, yep, the grains are starting to get nice and puffy and cooked. So we're going to put it back in the oven for 15 to 20 more minutes until the vegetables start to get browned in spots and the grains are completely cooked. All right, 15, 20 more minutes back in the oven.
All right, so we just got it out of the oven.
Well, I've taken it out of the oven a couple of times and checked the potatoes with a fork a few times. And so we had it in 20 minutes with the aluminum foil. And then we took the aluminum foil off and put it back in for 20 minutes. And when I took it out after those 20 minutes, so 40 minutes total, the potatoes were still hard as rocks. And so that did not work. So what I did was put it back in for 10 minutes, stirred it around, put it back in for 10, and they were still, most of them still weren't done. So I put it back in for 10 more minutes. So at this point, we're now at 60 total minutes. For the first 20 minutes covered, and then the last 40 minutes uncovered. So what I would suggest, if you want to use potatoes, is cut them smaller than what the recipe says. The recipe is going to say 1 to 2 inch pieces. With potatoes, I'd probably go, if you want to actually just have it done in 20 minutes and then 15 more, so a total of 35 to 40 minutes. If you want it done in that amount of time, make the potatoes much smaller because everything else was done. So I'm pretty sure the potatoes are done now. Yes, I can get a fork through the potatoes. So yay, which was all I was really trying to do. So the grains are done and they have soaked up all of that liquid and they're kind of toasty over on the edges. So if you want to use 1 to 2 inch pieces of potato, I would probably cut them smaller. If you want to make them that big, I would probably leave it in the oven with the aluminum foil on for 30 minutes and then maybe, another 20 to 30 minutes uncovered, but the way the recipe is written didn't actually work. I hate to say that, but at least for potatoes. The other stuff was done. So yeah, it looks pretty good too, so we're going to give it a try. Ooh, and since we did Cajun seasoning, I think some hot sauce would probably be really good on it. There's some over there on the table. All right, so I'm going to put in, I just quickly sauteed some kale in a little water. So we're just going to put that in the bowl, and then we'll scoop up some of this. And it's a nice looking dish because it's very colorful and has a lot of good, healthy, yummy stuff in it. Okay, let's see. It's hot. It's pretty good. I like just about everything better with hot sauce.
That's really good.
I'm
thankful to forks and over knives.
Yeah, give it a try and let us know what you think and what mixtures of vegetables and seasonings and things you use. But yeah, the Forks Over Knives link that we're going to post under the video has some suggestions of things, like making one that's curry flavored or making like a fajita bowl flavored one. So those all sound really good. I just thought I'd try something different than what they recommended, just to have one more option, making it Cajun. So
I do think this is a fine starting point.
Right.
And just be prepared to check the vegetables and see if you think it needs longer, and try to learn as you go. And
if you use
let us know
potatoes-
how you play with it.
And if you use potatoes, just cut them smaller than,
Yeah.
because then everything else gets a little more overdone. But at least the potatoes are done now, and it took 60 minutes. But so yeah, let us know what you think.
I'm going to chow down on this.
All right, thanks for watching.